So one of the things that we've learned since we've been married is how to manage expectations, and really about how not to have so many expectations for one another.
Exactly.
And if we do, how to keep them humble and reasonable. Instead of seeing the other person in marriage or in any relationship, you know, oftentimes instead of seeing them for who they are and meeting them where they are, we'll often see them for who we want them to be, or seeing them for who we think they should be.
Exactly. And it's hard though, because sometimes you see so much potential, right, in your spouse or your significant other. You love them so much. You want them to rise to your expectations, right? And you don't feel like they're vain in any regard. You don't realize maybe what you're doing consciously. And we've just learned how important it is to be able to kind of die to those expectations, if you will, and allow one another the grace to be who we are and grow into who God's created us to be.
It's not about us giving and taking from one another, and it's certainly just not about us taking from one another, but us joining alongside of each other and moving forward together as one into what the Lord has called and purposed for us to do. And I think when we lose sight of that, that's when the expectations and then the consequences thereof start to come into play, and it can cause those rifts, so to speak, in the bond and in the relationship.
Right. And I think a lot of times we think of like indiscretions and these huge ordeals that may cause a rift in a relationship. But I think what we have to realize from a practical perspective, those expectations can be something as simple as, I expected Khalil to come home from work and give me a kiss, and he didn't. He walked straight and put his bag on the corner.
Why did he do that?
And me getting all in my head about something that simple. We have to realize that it could be in any areas of our lives, especially in those daily routines that we do, laundry, dishes, all of those type of things.
I think it comes from comparison, and comparison in three different ways. One is, you know, maybe you compare your spouse to yourself. Maybe you have an air about yourself that, well, I've done this and I've done this to them, therefore they should do the same in return. I expect them to do the same in return. The second is comparison to maybe what you've seen other people do, or what you've seen other people receive. So classic example is, well, I saw him give her those 3 dozen roses for Valentine's Day, but you only gave me 1 dozen. So what's up with that? And then the third form of comparison is, you know, maybe you compare your spouse to a previous experience that you've had with them, in which you observed or received some type of action, and you use that as a measuring stick to say, well, you should be like that all the time. You know, like, oh, well, you were happy the other day, or you said this the other time, well, why aren't you saying it now? Or why aren't you doing this now? You know, you did this for me last Christmas or last Valentine's Day. Why? So, you know, I think just we have to see those weeds of comparison and kill those at the root. One of the scriptures that I think of when it comes to this is it's in Colossians chapter 3, which says, let us make allowance for each other's faults. And I think at times we forget to do that. We forget to realize that, you know, your spouse is created by the Lord, and they're growing. You know, we are here not just to pull and to take from one another, not just to expect from one another, but to empower one another to grow and to be all that the Lord has called them to be. So not living so much by expectation, but living by empowerment. And the way we do that is by serving. That's how we do that, is by serving in love. Yeah,
and as we serve in love, we really shift our mindset to a mindset of gratitude and thanksgiving. It's just so important that if there are certain expectations, right, that you have or that I have, that we are able to communicate those, as I shared, but that we're able to communicate them in love, with clarity, with patience, being sure that we're we're basically able to articulate our needs so that the other person can better understand how they can best serve us as well.
Exactly. When you have that threefold cord in Christ with the Lord as the guide and as the head, then we will maintain a bond that continues to grow.
Exactly.
And a love that continues to grow.
So we really just want to encourage you guys in your marriages, in your relationships in general, whether that's a friendship or whether that is a significant other, to really think about the expectations you're placing on that other person, to communicate them, and to slow down enough to give one another the grace and that support so that they do have room to grow and move forward.
Exactly. And true love is, not about what we can get from someone else, but realizing and thinking of the ways in which we can sacrifice and lay our lives down for that other person, having an unselfish concern for one another, allowing each other the opportunity to grow and empowering them, serving them along the way so that they can be all that the Lord has called them to be.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the medicine.
Yes.
That's the remedy.